So,
How are we doing?
so those right, so
That's
those
more
right
like
there,
it.
like if you pinch them with your
We
fingers,
have
they're
had
already
the
pinched through,
UK's
so they
King
don't
of
take
Barbecue.
that long
If you
to
missed that, that was the
crisp
first
up.
session.
They're already done.
How
Because I
about
put them on the
Georgia,
smoker down here.
Atlanta's King of Barbecue? So you're getting
Um,
two kings on
I
this on these
put,
sessions.
how can I
Don't
say
call him
this?
chef, but you can call him cook. Don't know
Um,
why. We'll talk about that. Ah, this guy is all about quality.
but
Okay, he
but
just voted one of
he
Food and
just fucked
Wine
me up.
magazine's 2019 Best New Chefs.
So you
A
take this
James
right
Beard
here,
semi-finalist, ladies and
and
gentlemen. All hail the
so this
extraordinary
it'll be ready. So it don't have
Bryan
to be.
Furman, who's in mid-conversation here with somebody else.
Oh, y'all ready? Okay. Can I say something now?
Talk away, buddy.
Oh, I just had to make
I'll
that.
go. I'll go. You talk.
No, I just had to do that comment because yesterday we ran out early, and so when we had more coming, it was a line, and I was like, come on, everybody. And they was just like looking at me like, and I'm like, I know I'm from Atlanta. That's how the Atlanta Falcons fans feel. Like the Atlanta Falcons do this, and everybody just look at them. So I felt like a Atlanta Falcons player at the
Now,
moment.
okay, you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Now, so far, I don't know how many people have been coming to live demos here today, but most times when we start with these extraordinary talented chefs, we start at the beginning. We go right back to the beginning of how it all began, and etc. But with this guy, I want to start in 2019. And I'll tell you why. Because it's been an extraordinary year for you. And I would say a mix of bitter and sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with the sweet, and then we
Okay.
can get to the bitter. But
All
what
right.
sweet things have been going down in 2019 for you?
Sweet.
I mean, like awards, nominations, those kind of, accolades.
I don't pay
I
attention
got
to
them all
that.
here, dude.
I don't pay attention to that. But James Beard kind of got me a little bit, threw me off. I wasn't expecting that. Food and Wine Best New Chef. Jordana, when she called me that Wednesday morning, it was the same morning that James Beard called. And I got a James Beard nomination. I was asleep. That was my day off Wednesdays. So my phone was going off, and I hung my phone up, cut it off. And then my wife comes in. She's like, you just been nominated for a beard. And I'm like, what? She was like, yeah. So I go and I open my phone, cut my phone. I was like, that's what's going on. So about 2 hours later, 11 o'clock, I get a call from Jordana Rothman from Food and Wine. And she was like, hey, Brian, I want to do a story on you. It's Food and Wine. And I was like, listen, man, I ain't into all these, like, accolades and stories and stuff. Like, I just cook food. Like, I know you want a story, but I'm good.
You
So she
believe
was
that,
like,
you believe anything.
yeah, being honest. So I was like, I'm okay. I'm good. She was like, no, you don't understand. You already won. I'm like, okay. I hung the phone up. So I get to New York City to accept the award, and we're taking pictures, and Kwame, we're sitting down, and me, Brandon, and Matt sitting there taking the pictures, and Kwame was like, man, I cried when they called me. And I'm like, you cried for a magazine? For a magazine, you cried? And he was like, yeah, man, you don't know how big this is. And so the night of the award, I almost cried because then I realized how big it was. And I almost cried because I realized how big it was. And so Jordana was like, Brian, she was like, I went up to Hunter the morning I called you. And she was like, Hunter, I just got off the phone with Bryan Furman, and he can give two shits about Food and Wine magazine. And so Hunter walked up to me, and Hunter was like, hey, man, I can't believe you. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I really apologize for that. But those were two surprises. Like I say, I never really focus on accolades and awards.
Well, let me fill them in.
Go ahead.
So we got Martha Stewart saying that she's a big fan. Andre 3000 saying he's a fan. Killer Mike saying they're fans. You got a lot of celebrity endorsements.
Endorsements?
Well, they like you.
Oh,
You're doing
okay,
something
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
You're doing
yeah,
something
okay,
right.
Okay.
So 2019 is sweet, okay, from that point of view. You'd agree. It's good news, good news, good news.
Yeah.
But then something bad happens. Something very bitter happens. Let me give you the date. March the 6th, 2019. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. 2:42 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
You explain what happened at 2:42 a.m. in the morning.
So we get a phone call, and went to my wife's phone, and it was ADT. They was like, hey, door number 17 just got and like broken or whatever. So I'm like, man, somebody done broke in my restaurant. That's the pit house door. So my wife gets off the phone. I'm like, hold up, Antonio's cooking overnight. Like nobody couldn't have broke in. So before I got up out of the bed, my wife goes to her phone and she pulls the camera up, and she's like, Bryan, there's smoke at the bar. So I jump up, because I stay 1,000 feet away from the restaurant. I jump up and look out my window because I can see my smokehouse, the top of my restaurant from my house. So I was like, holy shit. I mean, excuse my language. I'm sorry, it's Sunday.
No, that's okay. There's only one baby over there.
Okay.
That's all right, yeah?
So
Too young, yeah? Too young.
So I won't say nothing else like that. I
No,
apologize.
please do. It's funny.
Okay. But so I get up, I go across the street, and my pit house is on fire. And so my restaurant ended up burning down. At the time, when me and my wife went up there, it was like, oh, the pit house, we good. Like, it was on fire. And I'm like, we'll be down for maybe 2 weeks. We'll be all right. So we walk back home. And we did. We walked back home. And so the fireman come to my door, and he was like crying. He was like, I got bad news. I'm like, what? He was like,
It's gone.
we fucked up.
Oh.
So I walk out my door, and the fire was in the middle of my restaurant. And I was like, what happened? And the first fire hydrant that they went to didn't have water. So when they connected at 305, it didn't have water. So they had to search in the neighborhood for another one. And when they found one of the young, it was his first night on the job, he got the fire hose kinked behind my oven in the kitchen, and they had to shut off again. So when that stopped water flow again, by the time they got another hose in and reconnected it, it had caught my roof. So from there, it just ran across my roof, and the whole place caved in. So that's what happened.
And who says lightning doesn't strike twice?
I ain't never heard of that before.
You've been through this before.
Yeah.
Okay. So explain what happened a bit earlier in a different restaurant.
Okay, so my first restaurant in Savannah, I can say this because I'm overseas. So my first restaurant, we started October 14th, 2014, and 8 months later, I go and I used to come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and Southern Living had named us Top 50 Barbecue. And so we got real busy. We was only open 3 days a week. And so Coca-Cola came and put a machine in my restaurant, and it was freezing the drinks up. So we had a real busy week, and my wife called Coke. She was like, hey, this sodas machine is freezing up drinks. Could you have everything fixed by next Thursday when we reopen? And it was like, sure. Well, a technician came in. I remember because I was washing dishes. I was the dishwasher then. So I was washing dishes, and he walks out, and he was like, if it frees up again, we'll bring you a new one. I'm like, if it frees up again, you'll bring me a new one? That one's supposed to be new. Well, 3 days later, I pull up at my restaurant. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was dark, so I really couldn't see my restaurant. But when I pulled on the street, I seen the camera crew, and I'm like, man, they here this early in the morning bothering me, like 3 o'clock, because they put in the article I get there at 3. So I'm like, man, they here bothering me this early in the morning. So I get out, and the cameraman look at me, and he's like, so do you hear about it? I'm like, hear about what? I'm still not looking to the left of my restaurants over here. I'm like, hear about what? And then I see the yellow caution tape, and I look to the left, and my restaurant was burnt down. So
That's fire number 2, people.
That's fire number 1.
Oh yeah, but it's 2 in the greatest movie.
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna get to that joke in a minute. So, when first thing I thought was, okay, I'm new here in Savannah. We're barbecue. We're very busy. Somebody probably burnt me down. And the firemen come back because they had put the whole fire out. So the firemen come back in about 5:30. They're like, hey, you know what happened? I'm like, nah. And he pointed 50 feet away, and it was the Coca-Cola machine. He was like, when they came and they pumped Freon in your Coke machine, they overcharged it. So it was like a bomb. and it blew out the whole right side of my restaurant. And it was only 450 square feet. So that's how that happened. So to get to the joke, um,
There's a joke.
Daniel Vaughn,
I can't believe there's a joke. on the back of
listen,
that.
Daniel Vaughn, I'm talking about the lightning strike twice.
Listen, take this because I feel like we're just having a chat. Do you feel like you're just having a chat? Just drink
Oh
that. dude.
man,
Yeah,
I wish
cheers,
I could have bought mine from the back. I was drinking one. I didn't want to come out here drinking. So, but long story short, Daniel Vaughn said, Brian, how do you like not feel bad? I was like, you know what, Daniel? My first restaurant burnt down. It was a Coke machine. I was like, and in Savannah, if you come to my location, I got Pepsi. Because when I called Coke and told Coke, when we doing a fundraiser, bring my people some drinks that's going to be in line, they said no, because that's admitting guilt. I was like, okay. So once they found out I was going to reopen 3 months later, they come knocking on the door, and I was like, if you ain't got $100,000, you can go on out that door because you ain't even want to give my people drinks 3 months ago. So, but in Atlanta, I got Pepsi. I mean, I got Coke. I do got Coke in Atlanta. But he asked me, like, most people feel bad. And I was like, well, the first restaurant burnt down was a soda machine. I was like, Antonio burned my second one down. I say, so physically, I never burnt one of my restaurants down. Maybe if I burnt one of them down, I'd be hiding in the closet and scared to come out. But I ain't burned one down, so I'm okay. And I got insurance.
A round of applause for Bryan Furman, ladies and gentlemen. What a story.
And they say you're not a good barbecue joint unless you were burned down at least once. So I say I'm a great barbecue joint because I burnt down twice.
How's your relationship with fire these days?
I always been good with fire.
Yeah?
I was a welder for 10
I
years.
well, I know, but I don't think I'll be that comfortable with fire after what you've been through. But listen, this is your quotation. These are your words. You know how it is. As soon as you're growing and growing, you always get something that's going to try and set you back.
Yep.
So you've said that. So you've obviously had 2 big setbacks.
Yep.
So you take it in your stride. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us some tips how to take it in your stride? It's just the way you're built.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you grow up and you got to work for everything, I mean, like, stuff always going to happen. So some people take that. You can either take it and go cry about it. I cried on the first restaurant. You know, I boo-hooed, cried for like an hour, and then I was like, man. I didn't say, man, I'm thinking about the baby. I was like, man. I was like, I'm the only income.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't got time to stop, so I started doing these pop-ups and was able to raise money just traveling to different places and doing these pop-ups and to rebuild my restaurant back. But to say that with taking it in stride, a lot of people contacted me that morning and was like, you were so calm on TV and you didn't seem like it bothered you. And I was like, man, I done been through this before. Like, I'm in a better position now than I was then. So all I was thinking about was when I burnt down, like, taking care of my employees because I had 35 employees. So to me, about to make me cry about that because a lot of places don't think like that. But it wasn't about me, it was about my employees.
Well, I got another quote from you. Staff is like family. Family doesn't just consist of blood around here.
Yep.
Yeah. So staff was a priority for you after those places burnt down.
Oh, yeah.
But what I love about you and doing the research on you that I did recently, you give straight back. So, that place burnt down. People could have moved on. They could have gone somewhere else. They could have gone, forget it, I'll go and do pop-ups. But actually, your priority was to give back to the Atlanta community, BB's Cracklin Barbecue.
Bees crackling.
BB's Cracklin Barbecue. But that's what I love. I love the fact that, that's your driving force.
To me, it's all about community. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, when you go to a neighborhood or you opening a business, and me, that's why I say I don't call myself a chef. I feel like I'm an entrepreneur. So it's kind of like when you're building and you're brand new, you got to go in a neighborhood and you're building, so you got to give back. So like in Savannah, we give back, like, for everything, kids, everything. And we don't talk about it. I don't go and talk about, oh, I donated money to this and I donated money to that, because it ain't about that. If I got to go back and do that, they ain't what I did that for anyway. So once your community realize that you're there for them and you're supporting their kids and the softball team is Bees Cracklin Bats and we sponsor all of that, it's kind of like they're gonna support me when I'm down. So in Atlanta, that area, nobody was there. It was like a food desert.
Yeah.
And I came there and I made the Riverside neighborhood what it is, and I support the Riverside neighborhood. So when it snowed in Atlanta, everybody else might be closed. But Bees Cracklin Barbecue full because everybody's still walking to Bees to eat on a snow day. And I hated it because my wife, I used to be like, oh, we closed. My wife like, no, we not. So I used to be like, gosh, man. So let's get
You
a break.
mentioned that he was a welder. Can you just talk us a bit about that? How did you move from welding into a master, the pit master position that you're in now, and here you are on stage in Meatopia? You know, how did that journey begin?
It began with my dad and my mom. You know, my dad, he dropped out of college, but he moved us from South Carolina to Charlotte for a better life, even though he's from Miami. And so it was kind of like he was telling. I watched my mom and dad go through a lot, but they never gave up. And so my dad, I was very artistic growing up. I like drawing and doing that kind of stuff. So my dad told me, he was like, if you're gonna go out and do something, you got to do it right. But he was like, you need to be learn a trade. And I'm like, learn a trade? He was like, yeah, learn a trade. And I watched my dad go from being a forklift operator to electrical engineer. So it's kind of like he worked and worked in that company and grew and grew and grew up. So he told me to learn a trade, and since I liked the drawing, welding to me was like art, so that's why I fell in love with it. And so that's how I went that way.
How did he react when you turned around and said you wanted to do barbecue?
Him and my mom told me I was crazy.
Any advice?
No, I just went to him. I got tired of welding. I got tired of working for people, and started realizing, you know, I want to leave something for my kids. So I went to him and my mom and dad, and I was like, man, I want to open up me a barbecue joint, because Charlotte don't have any good barbecue joints, and that's what it is. Charlotte don't have any good barbecue joints. My dad was like, what's gonna make you different? I'm like, what you mean? My food gonna taste better. He was like, nah, what's gonna make me go past Jim and Nick's to come to you? And I was like, whoa. So I go in my room, I get on my laptop, and my dad was real big about meat quality my whole life. Even if my parents was broke, we ate good. And that's where I spent all my money is on food. So I went in, I looked up best tasting hog breed, best tasting pork. And they was talking about the Koshan 5.5. And so then I went and looked it up, and I'm like, heritage breed pigs? So I started doing research on heritage breed pigs. So then, the way I think, I'm like,
So was that a different way of doing it? Was
Sure.
it? Yeah. So just talk a little bit to us about heritage pigs.
well, to get to that, I looked up how many barbecue joints is raising heritage was serving heritage breed pork, and none showed up. So to me, that's the concept. And so
What is a heritage bred pig?
it's a different breed of pigs. They have like lard types, they got lean types, and so pigs have like over like 100 and some different breeds. And so they're fatty, they got more flavor. Darker pigs hold more flavor, but they have less piglets for the fact of them being more wild.
Okay.
But the pinker pigs lay more babies. And so I just went in there and I told my parents, I said, hey, I'm gonna raise my own pigs, and I'm gonna make all my size from scratch. And they just like laughed at me like, you can't do that. Me being a Capricorn, I was like, all right, I gotta prove them wrong. and, and the rest is history.
No, I don't know if Libby's around here, but we could do a sofa here, couldn't we? Could listen to this guy all day. Just a big, comfy sofa, a couple of beers, and just chat. But alas, are you guys hungry? Do you want to see this guy cook? Ah, okay, dude. What are we talking about? What are we thinking about serving these lovely people?
So I'm doing the lemon pepper chicken. It's like a honey lemon pepper that I did for Bon Appetit magazine. Atlanta is known for like lemon pepper wings. So I was like, well, they want me to do lemon pepper chicken, and nobody's doing whole lemon pepper chicken. So I did the whole lemon pepper chicken where I marinated the chicken in white vinegar and lime juice, and then I put it on the smoker down there while we're cooking the lamb. And so what we're gonna do is put the chicken here, crisp up the skin.
Let's start doing it. Let's start doing it.
I
Matt, can
thought,
we?
Matt, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Matt. Is he working? Bigger round of applause, please, for Matt. That's better. That's better. That's better.
Yeah.
So talk to me now again about the ingredients. So has this been marinated?
Yeah. It's cracked black pepper, lemon juice, lime juice, and salt and white vinegar, kind of like a brine. 2 hours. I cut them. I mean not. Yeah. I separated the white from the dark so they didn't take as long to cook, and got it to so it has like a smoky flavor. So if you're cooking at home, like you smoke some chicken,
Yeah.
do it the same way. So he don't have to put it on that side that long because the
So
way
where have these chickens been? Have they been in the smoker beforehand? Was that where
I just took them out the smoker.
Fine. So how long were they in the smoker for before we bring them out here? Just for the crowd to know.
I put them in at 1 o'clock, and I took them out at 3:30.
Okay. So what we're
At
doing
250.
Fine. So what we're doing here is crisping them up, yeah?
Crisping up the skin.
Crisping the skin, so it won't be long until these guys go out. Okay? So you can get excited. You're getting hungry. Now listen, I do encourage people, when you've got geniuses like this on stage, to ask questions, yeah? So if you have a question for this gentleman, please put your hand up, we'll get into it, yeah? If anything just pops into your head. Don't be shy. Those who ask questions get more food.
Say closed mouths don't get fed.
Now, I want to talk to you a bit about, if it's, because one thing you and I didn't talk about was you used to suffer big time from migraines, right?
No, I have epilepsy.
That's right. But didn't you have some kind of procedure? Because I've got a theory. And my theory is this. When people have health setbacks, okay, or the burning down of a restaurant, people can come back more creative, you know, because you've had that life experience. So it's a bit like, that's why you take things in your stride now, because you've had that experience.
Yep.
It doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah.
You know, would you agree with that theory?
Yeah,
know?
but it also, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with your mindset and how you was raised and everything else. So there's a lot of stuff that plays into that. My epilepsy came about. I'm next January. I done had epilepsy for 30 years. I take medication for it every day. If I didn't tell nobody, nobody would know. But I got mine from my parents leaving me from South Carolina to move to Charlotte, and we lived in one of the worst neighborhoods. When I was from the country, grandparents raised pigs, and I moved to this big city. And 2 months later, I'm having seizures. And so my grandma knew it. My grandma was like, you better bring that boy back to South Carolina. My mom was like, no, he's staying with me. So, I mean, I had seizures. But to me, I feel like that's an excuse. I feel like any type of stuff like that, anytime somebody's having something, it's so much easier to just run to drugs and make up an excuse of why you can't get it done. And it's like, don't talk about it, do it. So.
Yeah, it's a good story. But I mean, I really do believe that. I believe the people who've had those health setbacks do come back stronger.
Yeah.
And I think you've clearly done that. Talk to me about the different types of wood that you use. What wood, because we talked about it earlier with Tim, what wood, in your opinion, best complements, for example, either the chicken or the heritage pig? Let's talk about the chicken.
Well, at my restaurant, I use oak, pecan, and cherry. I use all mild woods because pork and beef, you can use a stronger wood, and it won't overpower it. But you can't use hickory and strong woods on chicken because it'll kill it. So what I decided to do was I found out the mild woods that I can cook my whole hogs, cook my briskets, my ribs and chicken on the same smoker at the same time, and it wouldn't affect the other. So I focus on oak wood, about 30-40% wet, just for the smoke, but wet wood holds logs. I mean, it makes better coals. and it burns hotter. But
Any place for gas in your place, or is it all smoking
no,
charcoal?
no, man, it ain't
Gas a dirty
barbecue.
word?
No, it ain't a dirty word. It's just you put that in the car. So that's how I see it.
Okay, how far away are we from serving? Are we going to be able to get into this and start chopping it up? Get it out to the
Yeah. So
lovely patient folks?
so hold on. Do we have where's
Can we
the,
start with those at the back this time, please? I always feel
do we
sorry for
got
those
do
at
we
the
have
back.
a
Yeah?
pan so
Who
we can melt
agrees?
this
People at the
butter?
back? There you go. Not ask the people at the front. You've been here all day. You've had everything. Steak, pork, you name it. This guy's had everything. Okay, we're going to chop it up. Do you want to chop it up here in this slab here? And we'll get it.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead. While he's melting my butter down, I'm gonna go ahead and my best friends from high school back here, Robin and Ilya, they've been back there rubbing these lemons for me, so they're so much easy. So that's why all the juice coming out. Can I get some gloves?
Interesting. What are the plastic cups for? Is everybody getting a glass of wine? While we're waiting for the butter to melt and stuff, while you're doing that, Brian, talk to us a bit about, which I've asked everybody today so far, sustainability. Okay, something that's important to you. Where do you source your meat? Where you're sourcing your wood? Can we burn ethically? Can we burn responsibly? Can we eat meat responsibly? Talk about how do you practice that kind of behavior in your place, in your businesses?
Man, I feel like I've always been about quality. So you get what you spend on it. Like if you buy a cheap piece of meat, that's what you're gonna get. That's why I don't like cheap shoes. But long story short, it's just I looked at a lot of barbecue joints that was doing those types of things, and it's like when you start something, and with me being like the first barbecue joint to bring heritage breed pork to barbecue, was a big deal. So it's kind of like, oh, I trendsetted something. I started something. And now everybody's trying to do it, but that's the biggest part. Most guys feel like people are not going to pay the extra money for it, but they still want to charge you $20 a pound, and they buying choice. So, I mean, to me, I don't look at it that way. I'm just real big on that. I'm very big on where I get my.
Are you quite conscious of how far ingredients have traveled? So do you source locally
Yeah.
as far as you can? So obviously you raise the pigs, you raise the pigs yourself, so you use the heritage pigs. But if you're getting ingredients in, where are you getting the ingredients from? Is it all local?
Well, when it comes to my size, no. Because when I first started, I was doing like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do seasonal veggies. I'm going to do seasonal this. And everybody was like, hey, you ain't got no collard greens this week? I'm like, it's not collard green season. They're like, man, you better have some collard greens next week. So being a barbecue restaurant, it's certain things you got to have every day. So that's what I look at. But everything that we make is made from scratch. And I don't false advertise. If I'm buying, I don't use grass-fed beef, but I buy prime brisket. And the reason I buy prime brisket is me and Wayne Mueller from Louis Mueller's are friends. And I don't eat brisket because I ate so much garbage brisket in my life. I just don't eat it. And I went to go down to Texas, and we went to his place, and I've been in his brisket. I'm like, whoa. And my wife was like, he don't eat brisket. She was like, is that good? And I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? What? I ain't never ate no brisket like this. And he was like, corn-fed prime brisket. I picked my daughter up Monday. I called my rep. I was like, Britt, how much is prime brisket? And he was like, $3.16 a pound. I was like, you telling me I was paying $2.99 for choice, like 15 more cents? I could have got prime. So, I mean, it's chicken. You can't do chicken in a barbecue joint, pasture-raised chicken. It's not ethical. Like, when people come in certain restaurants, like a barbecue joint, they looking for chicken to be the cheapest. And if I'm buying $16 birds, I got to charge the same price I pay for brisket. And y'all might could do it over here, but that ain't flying in the United States of America. That ain't flying in Georgia. I got to say that. So our chicken is local. It's probably like 50 miles outside.
Yeah, we'll take that. That's pretty local.
Yeah, it's
I mean, for America, that's really local, right?
yeah, it's 50 miles outside. Place called Maverick.
Okay. We need to start moving the food out, guys. We need to start getting chopped up stuff. So what is actually happening here? You're making this sauce, then what are you going to do? You're going to put this over the chicken?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
dip it
I'm gonna
in,
take
or how's it
yeah.
gonna
I'm
work?
gonna take the I'm gonna take the butter and pour it in here. This lemon juice, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna
Here
put
comes the butter. Here comes the butter.
Can you do me a favor? You squirt the honey in here with this so it'll melt a little bit.
So let me ask you, what you cook back at home, is it Atlanta barbecue or is it Bryan Furman barbecue?
Bryan Furman.
He's quick, isn't he? He
I
doesn't have to think
got-
about it.
I don't have to think. I got the answers, man. Huh?
Is there a
going,
quintessential?
keep going.
Is there a quintessential barbecue from Atlanta then?
Yeah, honestly, like I'm from South Carolina, so I don't cook my ribs that way. I don't cook none of my food the way you'll get it. I don't cook North Carolina style barbecue. I don't cook Georgia style. It's my style. So I learned my own. I made my rubs. I ain't got no. I didn't have what you call them. What they call those people when they go and they follow a chef. See, that's why I'm not a chef because I can't even answer what.
Followers, I'm guessing.
I'm like when
You're a leader.
he come and look. No, when a guy want to come watch you cook for a while.
All right, okay. Any suggestions of the crowd?
No. Who?
Foodie.
No. It's kind of like you a chef, and I just want to come and I want to watch what you do.
Copycat?
A what? No, I ain't that either. Dang. I bet Tim can answer that question. But long story short, they want to come and they'll watch you, and then they'll go back and be like, "Oh, Bryan Furman showed me how to do this." So I don't do that. I don't let people come and watch me cook.
I'll tell you what you do. I love the way you're keeping it so simple. And I can tell that you're keeping it slow.
Yeah.
You like to do it slow, am I right?
Yep. Well,
Does that apply to everything in your life? Sorry, I'm actually.
yeah. Yeah. Take my time, man. I ain't no rush. You only live once,
We got 5 minutes to get this food out.
and it's gonna be ready too.
So we need to be quick now, Brian.
Okay. Hey, man, you
got
bought me the beer.
We got less. Yeah, I got you a beer. You want another beer?
No, I say you bought me the beer. You wanted a couch up here too.
Here we go. We're
All right,
seeing
come
some
on.
food. It's coming out.
Where's the? I need a spoon.
We talked about heritage pigs. While you're getting this chicken out, and please keep up the speed, talk to me about your own heritage, if you like, the history of American culture in your part of the world and how it's influenced you.
Hi, what?
How your own heritage has influenced you.
Oh man, just
It's a big question, I agree.
I ain't gonna say it influenced me. I just know where I come from.
You say,
so I don't-
hang on for a second. You say, with the knowledge that history provides, there should be a black barbecue joint on every corner.
Yeah. Now that question came from this. Killer Mike came in my restaurant in Savannah, and he said, "Come to Atlanta," and he was like, "There should be a black barbecue joint every corner." At that time, he said there should be one on every corner, and I didn't think about it until he said that. And when he said it, I was like, "Damn, he right."
Yeah.
As much as we got, like.
But there isn't, right?
African Americans didn't come up with barbecue. Everybody got their hand in it. So it's nothing that we created, but I just say the part we played to make it even simpler or easier. So, I mean, to me, I'm just doing my part that I feel is right. And I don't run from those questions, those answers. I just know how I feel, and I talk to my son about it every day. You know, that's life. So it's all about what you do with it.
So you're a great believer in legacy. You're a great believer in passing things down.
Yeah.
And that could be a black business or whatever it might be.
Yep.
So I suppose your rule of thumb is never sell out.
Uh-huh.
You've never sold out?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to love selling out. That's my wife's idea. She was like, so we don't sell out.
Do you feel as a black American cook that you're working in Georgia, do you get the same recognition? Do you feel that kind of... What's your opinion on that?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I don't focus on that. I always had this saying like, I let the people speak. I don't talk about it. I don't brag about it. I let everybody else talk about it. I don't say how good my food is. You know, if it's good, people will talk about it. If it's bad, they won't. So I guess if it was bad, I wouldn't be up here. Um, but
Let
other
the
than
food do the talking.
let the food do the talking.
Okay. How far are we away from this, guys? We've literally got 2 minutes. Any questions while we're waiting for this food to come out? Come on, people, don't be shy.
Who's serving it? Who's serving it?
No, hang on. You've got to wait for this. Because everybody has to hear your fabulous question. How are we doing? Are we definitely on? Yeah, thank you. Go for it,
You might
mate.
need to help me.
What's your favorite cut of meat?
My favorite part of meat? What meat?
I guess what's your favorite meat to eat?
Favorite cut? Steaks. Ribeye. I like fatty meat. Anything with fat in it.
We got a question over here, Brian. 1 second. Can you introduce yourself and ask the question? Cheers, buddy.
Hi. What's your favorite hot sauce?
Huh?
I'm not going to tell you my name. What's your favorite hot sauce? Do you have a good hot sauce? Which one? Frank's? Or
Favorite hot sauce is
Sriracha.
Frank's.
Frank's.
Cheers, buddy. Somebody else had their hand up. Where are you? Here we are. Go for it. Introduce yourself.
Hey man, do you still cook at home? And if so,
Huh?
do you still cook at home? Given that you work in barbecue every day, do you still
No,
cook at
man.
home? Not at all. You just bring it home.
I eat out every night. I eat out every night until my best friend them coming over on a Sunday, and that started happening a lot. So I'm like, hey man, when your husband gonna cook? I want to come eat y'all food.
Any further questions? Yeah, where's the hand? Okay,
to see him.
running around the place. 1 second. I'm tripping these cobblestones. You've been here before. What's your name?
Oliver.
What's your question?
Who's the better cook, you or your wife?
Me?
He doesn't even think about the answer. It's like,
Huh? No. And I gotta be honest now. Like, yeah, I'm the better cook. But I can't beat her in a steak. Like, she killed me with a steak, so I don't even cook steaks. I let her handle that. But nah. Yeah, that right there is ready.
anybody else got a question? I've got a question. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you ask your question first, and I'll ask my question. Cool shirt, dude.
Chicken on the bone or off the bone, and white meat or brown meat.
Dark
Chicken
meat,
on the bone or off the bone?
dark meat tastes better. Bone in. That's where the flavor at.
Quick
See, I'm-
answer.
See, I'm pulling it off the bone.
Any other hands going up? You only get this guy for another 2 minutes. I'd ask a question. Have you got any barbecue secrets you could share?
Yeah, I share a lot of secrets. I don't hold nothing back.
Give me your top two, I don't know, your top two barbecue tips for people who are as novices like me.
Tell me what you need to know.
Talk to me about temperature and heat control and how important those things are.
Temperature and heat control is
And how,
very...
I'll ask you this question. How do you manage those things without gas?
Okay, so the most important part that I see on YouTube that all these guys talk about, but they never talk about and tell you, is fire control. And my dad always taught me at a young age, if you can't maintain a fire and shut a fire down, then you can't cook any meat. So fire control is the most important part, and it's just all about letting the wood breathe and the right temp, the right kind of wood, the dryness of the wood. So I think that's the most important thing about barbecue is first learning how to control your temps and when to turn your exhaust on and when to turn your exhaust off.
We got another question.
Yeah, I've been to Beach Cracklin, and when I was
1
there,
second, mate.
when I was at Beach Cracklin, you had a sign saying you cook for people, not judges. Would you ever cook for judges?
No, I don't cook for judges. I don't do competition barbecue. It's not barbecue. I might offend some people. I did it in South Carolina, so if you ask the question, I'm going to answer it. Competition barbecue is not the kind of barbecue you cook at a restaurant and can serve every day. So most of those people, to me, I feel like gonna sit here and judge or come in here and be like, oh, this is a 9, this is a 10. You know, they don't even know how to start a fire. They went to a class for 3 hours and think they know everything about barbecue. So to me, like that's just and it also is judgmental. I ain't judgmental, so that's why I have that. I say the people. When I say the people, I mean us, not just me myself.
We're running out of time, guys. Question over here.
Huh?
Just why duck today?
Just
That's chicken.
No, but the booth wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
The booth was duck. So that's chicken. The booth was duck. Why duck at the booth?
why duck? Well, I love duck. For one, I like eating duck. It's fatty. But you just oh, it's too heavy. So as I was saying, knowing how to control it, a lot of people don't know how to get the fat content out of the duck. And first, you got to trim it. And usually, like with chicken, you will cook bone side down first, but the skin is not as tough. A chicken skin is not as tough as duck skin. So when I'm cooking ducks, I always cook them skin side down for an hour and a half. Then I go bone side down, and when you reflip it back over, you could pinch through it. And so that's why, like the duck I was serving, you could pull the skin behind it. All the skin was rendered down, the fat. So a lot of people don't know how to cook duck, but I mean, if you season it the right way, giving stuff like jerks and seasonings like that to enhance with already a quality grade of meat, I mean, I love duck. I eat it every day if I
Now, I know
was
you've got,
cooking it every day.
you've got a question, but you've just tasted the chicken, right? So first of all, tell me what you think of the chicken and then ask your question.
Unbelievable. Simple, very simple, but very effective.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's simplicity.
yeah. My question was, is the brine more important or is the sauce more important for the flavor?
Bryan, only reason I brine this chicken because they were so big. The sauce is nothing but honey, butter, and lemon juice, and black pepper, white wine vinegar, and lime juice, and sea salt. That's all that was in here. Like that's it. So I don't think it. I'm just simple.
One more question and then we're going to wrap this, guys. One more question. Yo, man in the fancy hat. How you doing, right? How you doing, buddy? What's your name?
Keith,
What's the question?
what kind of temperature were you smoking the chicken on?
Huh?
What temperature were you smoking the chicken on?
The chicken, I was smoking the chicken on 275. I cook hot for you guys out here that cook barbecue. Don't let them Texas guys tell you a lie. They cook hot out there. 225 is baking. And example, that smoker I was doing with the lamb today, the guy was doing it at 225, and I told him to shoot it up. So that's why the lamb had a lot of fat on it at first, but then once he crunked that temp up, it rendered that fat. And fatty meat has more flavor, so if you go 275 and up, if you got a fatty piece of meat, 275 and up. I won't go below that, but I won't go over that either.
Atlanta, Georgia is a lucky place. Ladies and gentlemen, how cool is this guy? Put your hands together, please, for Bryan Furman. Yeah. Back here in 10 minutes for a taste of Mumbai.